Hello lovely people, and welcome back to this week's new video. I am so excited to finally put out this video because it has been delayed for quite some time. I've been working on it for a few months and finally I finished reading all the books, and I have another video in my Smash Your Pass series featuring Chloe Bunny. I think Chloe is just such a unique person. I find her confidence to be so infectious and she's just beautiful. I wish I had my nails done. My nail appointments for next week. But I think she's lovely and just a beautiful person inside out. I read 5 of her favorite books. I had quite a time with them because it did take me a while. I had hoped to upload this a few times already, but books weren't coming from the library. I was struggling through some of them. So anyway, we are gonna go through the 5 books that I have chosen. The first book that I read was Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. It's been a while, so I have my Goodreads pulled up as well. I also can't see anything, so hi. I don't have my contacts in and my glasses will not work with this glare. Kiko is half Japanese, half white American, and she is grappling with her identity. Her mother is quite abusive. She makes her feel unremarkable and she doesn't understand her Japanese side at all. She feels really isolated and she has a dream of going to art school but no one to support her. So she is trying to free herself from her small little hometown, her abusive mother and uncle, and just feeling so alone. We are following her on her journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and whether or not she can make it out to art school in California. I started Starfish. I read a decent amount. I would say over 50% of it yesterday, and I really like this. I feel like this is kind of the perfect first book. So I really hate Kiko's mom, right? She's such a manipulative bitch. I hate her. I really kind of just want Kiko to figure it out. I love stories about self-discovery. I really love that each chapter ends with what Kiko has drawn that day or painted. It really shows her emotional state at the time and kind of her creativity. It also like really pains me. There's parts in the book where it's split into what I want to say versus what I actually say, and it's so painful. I hope that there's some sort of progression there and she's actually able to say what she actually wants to say, especially to her mom, because their relationship is really complicated. It seems like Kiko's relationship with her dad is better, but I really hate the mom. But I'm really enjoying this a lot. Akemi Dawn Bowman's I read one of her other books. I forget what it's called, but I remember the cover of it. I think that was like 3 stars, but I already feel like I'm enjoying this one a lot more. I finished this yesterday and thoroughly enjoyed this. I think it's like 4.5 stars. There is a lot of racism, even internal racism, attempted suicide, parental abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. There's just a lot packed into this, and I definitely related to a lot of Kiko's grappling with her identities, her white identity and her Asian identity. For me, that was more my American versus my Japanese. Not being American enough, but also not being Japanese enough. For her, I think it was different also. The internal racism was there a lot because there isn't really anyone else that's Asian in her life, in her community, and her mother is there to say like, I wish I never married your dad. Also just telling her how much prettier she would be if she had more white features and why she looks so Asian. I just hate the mom, like through and through. I hate her. I think this is definitely something that I would revisit again. I kind of just loved following Kiko. I'm like so proud of her for first of all making the road trip all the way to California to with Jamie also, but also just like she needed that for herself as a getaway, which also had its own issues. But really like this. I think Shoji is so cute. I kind of envisioned him to be a lot younger than I think that he's written. He's probably in like middle school, right? I mean, Tuttle's in college, she's in high school, almost in college. So I assume middle school, like, or like high school freshman or something. But I really enjoyed this. 4.5, 5 stars. It's only one book, but I have high hopes so far. This is telling the story of Dracula's first bride. If I remember correctly, this is being told in letter form of Constanta writing to Dracula and the course of their relationship, the rivalries that she consumes, her discovering her life as a vampire and being all consumed by Dracula. This first line, just the whole first few pages of this book, were incredible. Hello, it's been a minute. I meant to check in about this book the whole time and I never did. I was just running around doing other stuff, excuses, nobody gives a shit, and I finished A Dowry of Blood. Writing style, beautiful. Usually I'm not one for poetic writing because I feel like it takes me out of the story. When I did Elias's favorite books, I read Ocean Vuong's book. I didn't like that. Also because I felt like there was no plot. Also, this one didn't either. But somehow I liked it, but I don't know what to rate this at all. Constanta is like a secretly fierce honey. She was biding her time. This line, she's crossing things out. I kind of like that it was in letter form. It was all the things that she was holding inside that she wished she could have said to him and she didn't. Cause bitch. At first, I like totally forgot because in the beginning she wrote about Magdalena and Alexei and I was like, okay, whatever, who are these people? And then I totally forgot they were coming up. I think that this is indie published also. There aren't really chapters because these are letters, so new chapters would start on a new page here. You can only tell if there was like a blank page there. Wow, just some of the lines, like, if you can still hear me wherever you are, my love, my tormentor, hear this. It was never my intention to murder you. Not in the beginning, anyway. Like, I feel like this is giving me such vindictive housewife vibes, but I love it. It's like juicy, like so dramatic, so beautiful. And I feel like because they are vampires, which they didn't actually explicitly say until like halfway into the book, even though, you know, Dracula, no shit, it just felt so romanticized and glamorous. And I feel like that also goes into the time period that is in. It is separated into, I think, 3 parts. So like her beginning and then Magdalena and then I think when Alexei comes into their lives. And I have never read Dracula. I've never read anything within his stories. But this was like gorgeous. It's all about like being tortured, this toxic relationship and her not knowing what to do, her being in this relationship that she cannot escape really because she has no idea what it's like to be a vampire alone. Dracula has these chains on her that she really cannot escape without him. It feels as though she cannot escape without him. That is the abusive relationship that she's stuck in. I don't know what to rate this. I don't know if it's like it's definitely not an easy 5 stars, so it's not gonna be a 5 stars, but I think it's gonna be a 4.5 because I was definitely interested and intrigued from the beginning of this, even more so by the end. It could creep up to a 5 star, like if I reread this. I totally see why this is Chloe's vibe, like 100%. I don't know what I'm gonna read next, but like, Chloe. The third book was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, which was a very, very popular romance book. I believe it was a Goodreads Choice winner for top romance last year, and I think it also became like a book talk sensation. I waited so long for this from the library, but this one is following Catalina or Lena, and she needs a date for her sister's wedding. Her ex is going to be there. Her whole family thinks that she is just a hot mess, that she is falling apart, and she doesn't want everyone to pity her. She has 4 weeks to find someone who is willing to go to Spain with her for like a weekend for this wedding. In comes her colleague, Aaron Blackford. It's a hate to love, and he is going to offer to step in, and she wants to refuse because she hates him and they are workplace rivals, or so she has made up in her mind. But with him being the only person that's willing to come, they go to this wedding together and everything happens from there. Hello, long time no see. For me at least. I'm ready to start The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. It finally came from the library a while ago. I'm finally getting to it and I'm excited. Although I've heard pretty mixed things about this one, but nevertheless I am excited. The only thing is though, there is no reason for a romance to be this long. This book is 437 pages. Surely it doesn't need to be this long, right? I've read like 2 pages. It already seems kind of cute and I'm ready for all the flirty vibes. Last night I finished the last 100 pages or so of the Spanish love deception. I finally got like the steamy scenes, which I didn't love that it was in the last 100 pages, the last 75-80% of this book, because that means cramming in all of the new relationship and all of the conflict, like the third act of why they're gonna break up and everything like that. The reason why they kind of had a falling out, I actually understand this breakup, this little break situation that they had, because I didn't feel that much angst or connection or that much high of an attraction, especially because it's only from Lena's point of view. When they actually got together, I felt nothing. That wasn't great, because that's like the whole point of this romance. You want them to get together, but I wasn't seeing any of it. I didn't see why. Like, okay, maybe. And it was also like written kind of awkwardly, like milking doesn't seem like a great word to use when you're trying to be sexy. It all felt just way too fast how everything happened at the end also. Like the connection was just too much, because I wasn't seeing any of the sexual tension that say you might have in a hate to love, like The Hating Game or something like that. I really liked this as a contemporary. I just think it was way too long and the action wasn't happening fast enough, and I'm giving it 2.53 stars. This had potential. Books usually always just starts at 3, and it could have been a 4, but it really just leaned down, so I'm giving it 2.5 stars. I'm pretty disappointed by it. I think I was the most excited about Uzumaki by Junji Ito. This is a horror manga. She was very chunky. I purchased it off of eBay so that I could read it in Japanese to really challenge myself and to help get those gears working in my brain, because my parents didn't send me to Japanese school for nothing. So this small little coastal town in Japan called Kurouzucho, it is being cursed by spirals, Uzumakis. Kirie, the main character, and her, I think, boyfriend Shuichi, who shows her how haunted this is, and each chapter is just a new thing of how creepy spirals can be. It was absolutely traumatizing. It definitely was horror. I started Uzumaki by Ito Junji. This is gonna take me a long time. I've sat here, read 20 pages. It took me so long, my neck hurts, because I'm actually reading mine in Japanese. I found this off of eBay. So if you don't know my background, I'm Japanese, but born and raised in New York. I went to Japanese school on the weekends. I visited Japan. I went to school there over the summers. Went to summer camp for like Japanese speaking children. I want to brush up and use what I know. There's a lot of characters that I don't know, or don't know how they're read, or words. So I'm fucking taking notes. I'm writing that shit down so that I can easily remember, and that's like better for me. So this is going to be my reading at home book, and this is going to take me a lot longer than I thought. So far, literally I can't tell you anything because it's been 20 pages, but I just wanted to say I started it. I'm ready for the scary vibes, but it'll happen really slow. My mom came into my room one day when I wasn't here. She found this, sat in my chair, just read it in one sitting. I am slowly making my way through, that's dark, Uzumaki by Ito Junji. I am still only 88 pages in because I'm really only reading this at home. It is really gross. It's really creepy. There have been a few casualties, I'll say. The part where Shuichi's mom has like this centipede thing like crawl in her ear almost was so horrifying. Just even thinking about that, and like things involving the ear, just so gross. I don't yet think I'm afraid of the spiral itself, but I'm definitely afraid of like what happens to someone after the spiral, like messes with their mind. So it's so gross already, and I'm literally like a fraction of the way through. I just sat here and read 3 chapters. I've been trying to do 2 every day, but I didn't get to read any last night because I wasn't home here. So I read 3, and I could definitely read more. I'm nearing the 50% mark. This book is getting increasingly creepy. People in the town, more and more of them are catching on that something is wrong with this town. I hated the snail chapter, I think, the most. It was really, really creepy. I hate like little tiny bumps, like, or like circles, like, oh my god, just thinking about it creeps me out. so much. I just finished the lighthouse episode. I pulled out my Apple Pencil dupe to use on my phone because I'm looking up so many kanji. I think I read like 4 chapters today, which I feel really good about, but my neck hurts, so I'm gonna stop. I'm quickly filling up the pages in this notebook, and my mom thinks that I should put it in like alphabetical order, but I think that if I ever read this book again, it'll just be easier to find everything in the order that I couldn't read them. I also need to stop because my skin is starting to feel really itchy from reading this book. I was first exposed to horror by reading Troop by Nick Cutter, and that was one where I felt really grossed out because there's a lot of body horror, as is there in this one, and on top of body horror there's imagery of it, so it just feels a lot more disgusting and terrible. I only have 2 to 4 chapters left. I don't really know. I don't want to look ahead because the imagery just gets increasingly worse. Oh my god, I like can't get the idea out of my head. My skin is like crawling. Hello? Long time no see. I finally dedicated the time to finishing Uzumaki, and the last, I guess, chapter, I didn't feel like I needed that, the way that like it connects into the new world, the new generation or whatever. I don't feel like I needed that. However, this book, oh my god, I'm giving myself goosebumps. I think the book was brilliant. I'm giving it 5 stars because of the effect that it had on me and just how absolutely horrifying it was. I hate the snail part the most. Like, it just makes my skin crawl, but brilliant. 5 stars. Everything is looking amazing now. Last but not least was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is a YA fantasy. I believe it is a series. Laszlo Strange is a war orphan and a junior librarian, and he has always been thinking and dreaming and enamored by this lost city called Weep. A hero who everyone calls the Godslayer, this ultimate warrior, comes to the library that he works at, and Laszlo has the opportunity to go with him and this band of legendary warriors to see this lost city of Weep. What happened in Weep 200 years ago to cut it off from the rest of the world? What exactly did the Godslayer slay that went by the name of God? And what is the mysterious problem he now seeks help in solving? Hoda and I are getting ready to go out. I have been slowly making my way through Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I am like 40-ish% of the way through, and I'm confused. It is fantasy. I don't really do well with fantasy for the first book. I've also never read anything by Laini Taylor. So far, I'm envisioning a little bit of X-Men, and that's about it. I don't really know what's going on. I'm also imagining like Game of Thrones Maester vibes too, and that's like all I have to say. I'm confused. I'm not really intrigued by the story at all, but I can feel something's about to begin, and the wheels are kind of finally starting to move closer to what this story is supposed to be about. I am about to start chapter 31 of Strange the Dreamer, but okay, he really likes to be in this bag right now. Yeah, but I'm not really enjoying it. I'm basically reading this just to read it for this video, and I think I've also just been reading it for too long that it's no longer fun for me. Also, because I'm reading other stuff, I'm reading another long fantasy book at the same time. I'm reading Babel, which I am enjoying. This is not really a priority for me because it's not as fun. I think this, for 2022, it's going to be a DNF. And that's not to say like anything against this book. This is just like the timing of when I'm reading this, but for like the sake of this video right now, I'm not going to finish it in time, and if I did, it's not going to be a good reading. So I am going to just close this here and return it because I'm pretty sure she's also overdue at the library, and now I'm done with this video. Don't love this ending for me. I always feel like I have such a hard time doing these videos, or it gets harder and harder because I feel bad, and also because over the course of like choosing books and reading books, I feel like I'm not choosing the right ones. I always feel so bad when I don't enjoy a book, but that just goes to show that like my taste with somebody else's isn't always going to match, and nor do they have to. I will say that I am going to look into the horror books that Chloe enjoys. I did consider Bunny for this, rereading it because I read it for Lala's favorite books. However, I like truly did not like that. I gave it 1 or 2 stars and it was so out of my comfort zone and I just felt like it was too complex for me to understand. However, on the other hand, Chloe also really loves Sally Rooney and Normal People. I love Normal People and I still need to read her 2 other books, Conversations with Friends and Beautiful World Where Are You, which I do own and need to get to. So it all just like falls somewhere in between. Maybe romance leaning or like contemporary books I can lean into, and I do hope to pick up Strange the Dreamer one day when I'm in a better mindset, when I'm not feeling too hectic and feeling like I'm being forced to read it for something else and just doing it for me. But I did enjoy my time with this, even though it did take a few months. I always have fun doing these. I don't think that Chloe's book tastes are that far from mine. I'm like trying to think about everybody else that I did, but she isn't like the most aligned either, which is interesting. She just falls somewhere right in between. I still will be listening and looking out for more of her recommendations. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope that you are having a wonderful end of the year, and I look forward to seeing you all next week and also in the new year. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.